motion to close nominations.
Thank you, Alderman Karen. Motion is to close nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. The motion on the floor is the election of Alderman Gathright as committee clerk. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Welcome, Madam Clerk. Feel free to join us up here, and thank you very much. This is just the script. When someone makes a motion, just fill in their name.
She was shaking her head no.
Okay.
Okay? All right, we're good. Okay, public comment. I see no one in the public. Well, Kara Skeena, she's the manager of urban programs. We're not going to consider her the public this evening. Communications. We have a communication from Carrie Skeena, UPD manager, regarding the development of the FY 2019 annual action plan. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to
Alderwoman.
accept and place on file.
Motion is to accept and place on file. Carrie, would you care to join us, please? Thank you for being here this evening. Carrie Skeena is the manager of the Urban Programs Department. Her department oversees the Community Development Block Grant. They also oversee the community grants, the home funds, and the lead program, and probably other things that I'm not thinking of right off the top, but thank you for being here this evening. And I was hoping that maybe you could give our new members kind of an overview of the process and what CDBG is, so that they can know going forward what they get themselves into.
Sure.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you for having me. So each year, the city receives Community Development Block Grant funds, which we refer to as CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Program funds. They're both funded through HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development. And the city is what's considered an entitlement community. Means we don't have to apply for them, not competitive. They're granted to us based on a formula. The formula has different pieces to it, like demographics, income, housing age, poverty levels, things like that. So each year we're not exactly sure how much we're going to get. Sometimes by February we have that number. In the last couple of years it's taken a little longer due to the delays of passing the federal budget, so we've not received that formula until later in the process. So each year we accept applications from outside entities, as well as internal city departments can put in requests for the funding. In the packet that I provided, it is the total packet of applications and requests received from both the outside entities and the city internal city requests. So this committee goes through and deliberates on these applications. Our office, we vet them first to make sure that they do qualify before they, get to you for consideration. And then over the next couple of months, you'll deliberate and see how they help achieve the goals and priorities of our community. Those goals and priorities are set out in a 5-year plan called the Consolidated Plan. Fiscal year 19, which is about to start, is year 4 of that plan. So we're nearing the end of it already. So this time next year, we'll be talking about how we're going to lay out the next 5-year plan, but that's another endeavor to take on. We don't have to get into that now. So the consolidated plan involves a large amount of community input. It's done over the course of about a year, where we seek public input from residents, nonprofits, business sector, transportation type entities, regional planning commissions, and basically we look at the city's needs and rank the priorities of those needs. So each year as these applications come in, we try to see which best address those needs and help us achieve the goals that we laid out in the 5-year plan. Now, of course, the later we get into the plan, sometimes the goals and priorities do shift a little. Times change even in a 5-year period. So each year, we try to go into it with a little bit of insight as to how we've done. This is what we call an action plan. And as it implies, it's the actions we intend to take on in the upcoming year. At the end of each fiscal year, we also do an end-of-year report, and that's called the CAPER. That stands for Consolidated Annual performance report and CAPR. And that is basically lays out again how we're doing against those goals and what we've achieved. If we've not met some of those goals, why we haven't, which typically it's limited funding. I mean, we have a lot of goals and priorities, but we don't have all the money in the world to achieve that. Those plans are posted online. They're also posted for public comment, and I typically try to send the link out at least to this committee so that they're staying abreast of those developments. After the applications are decided upon in this committee, so in the next few meetings, you'll go through them, and Madam Chair can probably speak to the process a little more as well if she wants, but you'll come up with a recommended funding amount. Eventually, that makes its way into the format of a resolution, goes to the full board, is referred back here for further deliberation, and that's when any tweaks, if they need to be made, are typically done. We hold 2 public hearings during this process, and we kind of line those up with these meetings. And you'll note, someone graciously pointed out to me that I had a wrong date in the tentative schedule. So hopefully next month we'll hold our first public hearing. The intent of that is to get some input from the community on, how we should direct this year's funds. And then in April, which I believe is where I had the wrong date, I entered April 16th as a tentative public hearing, second public hearing, and that should actually be April 9th, but there's plenty of time to notice that and address it. My eyes just jumped when I looked at the calendar. And so the block grant hopes to help primarily low to moderate income population. It also includes economic development, and it can be creation of jobs, assistance to businesses, and support of what they call public services or human services, sometimes it's referred to, and that is different activities such as operating dollars for daycare programs, soup kitchens, things of that nature. What's really nice about CDBG is that HUD allows us to have a lot of flexibility as the local entity. Of course, they have requirements that every activity needs to meet, but it's really up to the community to decide how to spend that money. The home program, which is also rolled into this process, is all about creating affordable housing. The home program, we don't do a one-time application period because it's related to developing housing. We don't ever really know when that's going to occur, so we accept those on a rolling basis typically. And those can become very complex. They come through our office. There's a significant amount of underwriting that we have to do and qualification. And then ultimately, again, it reaches the board through a resolution process to fund individual projects with home money. I think, I'm sure there's more to it. And I'm certainly happy to answer questions along the way.
Well, thank you. So one of the things that the committee has done in the past several years is go out to visit the sites of the applicants. So, we have the Adult Learning Center. We would try to set up a 15, 20-minute just walk through over there to kind of check out the window replacement. Boys and Girls Club, they're looking for HVAC replacement. Marguerite's Place, exterior siding. Nashua Center for the multiply handicapped, lighting improvements, and Nashua PAL exterior lighting. And there are a number of city projects this year, Levine Park bathroom, a splash pad, which I think is very exciting. We don't have anything like that in the city right now, do we?
have a splash pad, yeah.
Oh, over at by Arell Manor?
Right, yep, at,
Okay.
on National Street.
Is that to the same level as what they're requesting here? I mean,
Yeah, it's
Is
a
this
nice
a s-
splash pad
Is
because
it?
it's next to a little playground, yeah.
oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so what we like to do is set up site visits. We like to do them on a day that's convenient for the committee members, obviously, and for Carrie and her staff, whoever, is going to take us out and show us what's what. So what I'd like to do tonight is try to narrow down a date that maybe we can do site visits. If there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 or 6 nonprofits, and then there are the city projects. The city projects are a lot easier to go look at because, because it's a city. But scheduling the other 5 or 6 visits to nonprofits, we like to do on a day that's convenient to everyone. So I'm going to throw it out there to see who might have a date that might work best. Alderman Lisa Goya.
Yes, I know that my schedule sometimes gets really tight, but it just so happens that we've got the week of February 26th, and I don't know if either that Thursday or Friday during the day might work for folks to do a visit. I could also do it on a Wednesday, but both at this committee as well as on other committees, I know there are people who are also busy up in Concord, and so Wednesday may not be good for them. But either Thursday the 1st or Friday the 2nd, even in the morning.
Anyone else have any input? Alderman Karen.
I can't do Thursday morning. I'm committed until noontime, so I could do it after 1. Friday, same thing in the morning, would have to be in the afternoon.
Either those would,
I'm available Friday afternoon.
Not Thursday afternoon?
The only problem with Thursday is right now we do not have anything on our schedule for session up in Concord. But because of the snow days, they've been throwing in, and they grab Wednesdays and Thursdays. So
Okay, so
they could throw one in at the last minute. But right now, the afternoon of February 2nd, I could schedule the late afternoon of Thursday the 1st.
late afternoon is a little bit tough because the nonprofits, a lot of them,
Okay.
4:30, 5 o'clock, they're going home.
Yeah.
How about if we shoot for Friday, March 2nd in the afternoon?
1 o'clock.
And what time do we think?
I'm
12:30,
open all
1
day.
o'clock?
So.
you're open all day, 1 o'clock, June?
1 o'clock would be,
1 o'clock?
yeah.
Does that seem to work for everyone? Okay, I think we've picked a date. Does that work for you, Carrie?
That's fine.
Excellent. All right.
So you're going to set up the, where we're
Yeah,
going? and
usually
what
Carrie
time?
and her
Yeah.
department will work that out with the nonprofits.
Thank you.
Like I say, we usually spend 15 minutes and then, drive to the next one. Let's see, Adult Learning Center, Boys and Girls Club, Marguerite's, they're all pretty centrally located, so I think it won't be too bad.
Madam Chair, would you also, do you want to incorporate the city ones into that and have the staff responsible for those requests present? Or do you, like you said, where they're just open and publicly available, that
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing them. I don't know if we can fit all that in one afternoon, but if we can, I'm happy to do that. I'd love to see the plans for the splash pad and, what are the other city projects? Levine bathroom, I don't know if I'm all that excited to see a bathroom. I don't know that I have to go there, but if we're gonna be there looking at the splash pad, we could look at that at the same time. School Street, I guess we could take a look at that. Yeah, if we can fit them in, that would be great. Carrie?
the other alternative with those are, for the next meeting, I think generally like I said, the project managers or the staff responsible for these requests plan to come to the next Human
Good.
Affairs Committee meeting, so they may have some visual aids or, plans that they could present at that time, if that makes more sense. And
If we can fit them in, let's do it. If not, we'll just take their presentation or whatever they're willing to provide us at that time. That would be all right. Awesome. Okay, I think we don't have a whole lot on our agenda. I mean, obviously, looking over the requests, going out to see these in just 2 weeks from now, we'll have a better idea by our next meeting, kind of what we might like to do. There is one other thing tonight, and I was trying to get some information from Alderman Karen, who serves on the Community Grants Committee. Typically, this committee would vote on an amount up to 15% of the entitlement funds for public services. So the money that Alderman Karen's group gives out is tax dollars. That comes straight out of the mayor's budget. And that's money used to support the nonprofits. Then this committee, historically, has taken a piece of the CDBG funding, and we can give up to 15% of that, which this year is $84,900. We can allocate an amount up to that to give to Alderman Karen's group to wrap into the money that they dole out. So, Alderman Karen.
Yeah. So the committee has been meeting, doing very well. But because of the timetable now for the budget to be submitted to the aldermen, we've had to backtrack. So basically, we're looking at March 1st as our deadline to get our numbers in.
Wow.
So,
So
So
do you
that
have
kind-
an idea of how much you have, how much money you have currently from the mayor, what amount you've been given, and what the dollar amount of requests are? I mean, it's always more, I know, but.
yeah. I'm going to defer to Carrie because she because I don't have all my paperwork. I just bring what I need for the meeting.
Okay.
So,
Do you have any idea, Carrie?
Yes, the mayor issued a memo to that group, and the amount out of the city budget that he allocated is going to be $512,000.
And do we know how that compares to last year?
It was level funded from
Level
last year.
funded, okay.
And I believe, and again, I don't have it right in front of me either, but I think the requests were about double that.
right.
Does that sound about right?
Almost $1 million.
Right. I think they were just shy of $1 million as far as requests.
Well, that sounds about right. I mean, even with CDBG, right? I think we have 692,847 available, and requests of just over $1 million if you include the 15%, up to 15% that we can allocate towards the community grants. So that number is $1,087,743.75. So, almost double what the amount of money is that's available.
Alderman Wilshire.
Alderman
What,
Lisa Goya.
I've forgotten, and Carrie, maybe you can help me. What did we give last year? Was it like 8%?
No, you gave the full 15.
Did we give the full 15?
Yes.
Okay,
We did. I think we have for the last
okay.
10 years that I recall. Carrie?
There is, just to point out, this year, it's a little bit different for what we've seen in the past, that one of the requests coming out of the mayor's office and the mayor's chief of staff, Kim Kleiner, will be here at the next meeting to speak more to the details of it. But it's to fund a position at the Arlington Street Community Center.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of an activity also falls under what they consider this public service cap.
But it only falls under that.
I'm not sure what you mean.
It only falls under that for the purpose of CDBG.
Right. But it would need to, if funded, it would need to come from that 15%.
15%.
Right. If the committee decided to do, if we decided to give the full 15%, that couldn't get funded. So kind of pigeonholed there. It's kind of like,
60,000.
yeah, that's a little bit of a dilemma. So I'm going to leave it up to the committee what we want to do. I mean, we typically give numbers at our first meeting for community grants to have their number to be able to finish up their work. As Alderman Karen said, they've been asked to get their numbers in by March 1st. What's the committee's pleasure? Alderwoman Lisa Goya.
I'm trying to figure this out, but I have a feeling Carrie knows this. What is the 15% of ours?
$84,900 is the 15%.
Okay, so if we funded 15%, it would be down to $24,900 if we also funded the mayor's position? What would be left? Because they're requesting 60.
Correct. It's 89,400, which you did say the first time, but I think you just
Oh,
reversed it just
I
now when you
reversed
said
it that time. I
Okay.
had it written down somewhere.
So the 15% is 84,900.
89,000.
Oh, 89,000, I'm sorry, okay. 400. And the position the mayor's office is asking for
60.
would come out of that, the 60,000,
Yeah, that's the only place it would come
come out of, right,
unless they had put it in the review and comment or the community grant process.
right. Okay,
Which I
so,
think is what should have happened.
so that would leave the community grant process with 29,400 if we were to decide to fund the mayor's request.
Which means that we would have to make that decision tonight. I'm not ready to do that.
No, I'm not either, and I guess that was my point,
Yeah.
like, some of this, I feel uncomfortable also going forward.
Yeah, I
with
kind of feel like we're kind of stuck, right? Because they need to move forward with their process. They can't do that until we make a decision, and we can't make a decision because
You're just looking at it.
we just, yes. Carrie?
And another kind of nuance to that 15% public cap, or cap on the public services, just to make the conversation a little more complex, is that the cap is calculated at 15% of your annual entitlement, which right now
Right.
we're estimating, plus program income from the prior year. So any program income we've received that we're receiving now in fiscal year 18, when you're calculating that cap, you can also take that total dollar amount. So I think we've had, and I should have looked at the number before the meeting, but I want to say we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about $70,000 that we've received in program income from repayments of loans. So in essence, you can also calculate 15% of that program income. So the number is allowed to be a little bit higher than the 89.4.
Okay,
Unfortunately, I don't have it.
596,000, we can add 70,000 to that and then take 15% of that.
Right, and I could get the exact number, which of course it's always in flux because we may still be receiving program income during this process.
In the, if I may,
Yes, certainly.
in the letter that we received from you, Carrie, I'm just looking, and it says estimated program income 40,000.
Right, that's for the upcoming year.
Oh, okay,
So it looks a year backwards to what
Right.
was actually received, and by saying a year
Okay.
backwards, it's our current
Right.
fiscal year 18.
I was reading this as sources we were bringing forward.
Right.
And
So-
what about what's available for reprogramming?
We don't usually use that as part of the calculation, right?
That's not allowed to be used toward the calculation, no,
Right.
if that was the question.
I guess I was just wondering if we know what we're doing with that, if there'd been any conversations.
Not yet. I'm sure there will be.
Well, the project, those listed in the memo, the first one, Greater Nashua Mental Health Center, that was funded actually in this current year, fiscal year 18, to do their parking lot. And it ended up that it was going to be more complex and they were going to need engineered plans, so they withdrew their request for CDBG funding
Okay,
on that. So that 40,000 is available to go toward, this coming cycle's activities. The FY16 Railroad Square parking improvements, that was a request that former Mayor Lozo had entered, and our recollection was that she had something specific in mind, but at this point, that's sort of been lost in the transition of administration. So we identified that was just kind of sitting around for a couple of years and also available. And then the other two are just the small balances that from last fiscal year that were not expended. And that is added into the estimated total available. And much like last year, we don't have a solid dollar number, so, there needs to be a plan to how to address the activities if the amount goes up or down.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm just not okay with making a decision on something that, I mean, if we have to have an extra meeting to make that decision a week or two out, I'm okay with that too, but I'm not ready to make that decision this evening. That's me personally. I don't know about the rest of the committee, but. Alderman Karen.
Yeah, and I understand that, and it makes it difficult, but I think we were talking about the possibility of going beyond March 1st, so maybe if we could, get a definitive timeline, then if that means you having a meeting in between so that the committee can come up with their final figures, that would probably help us, Otherwise, we'd have to have two sets of information if we get this or not. So I'd rather, say, okay, we're going to have this and move forward.
Which is why, that my exact reason why the 60,000 that was asked for should have been put through the community grants process, not through CDBG,
Right.
because we have,
Right.
because we get stuck in this quandary. So, that's my take.
Okay.
I don't know, could they have applied under that, though?
Why not?
I thought it was restricted to nonprofits under that group.
That organization is not a nonprofit?
The My Brother's Keeper, isn't that?
Well, no,
Oh,
it's the city itself, it's the community center.
No, no.
Oh.
You
Okay,
sure?
well, I guess that's going to have to be a bigger conversation. All right. Anything else anyone wants to discuss? The motion before us is to accept and place on file the communication from Carrie. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none? Oh,
Do we, I guess maybe it would be another motion just to accept and place on file, or maybe just include it, noting the change, the error in the date.
oh,
Date.
okay. Yeah, we can just note that the date for the second public hearing, which Carrie's going to notice anyway.
Right.
Is going to be April 9th and not April 16th as was written in the memo. So noted. Thank you, Alderman
Yeah.
Lisa. Further discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. And thank you very much. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, none. General discussion. Alderman Lisa.
Alderman Wilshire, when is our next meeting? Is it the 12th?
Yes,
Okay.
the 12th of March.
March, yeah. I just didn't know, to Alderman Karen's comment, that the Citizens Committee is going beyond March. Will us meeting the 12th be helpful or not, or should we look at moving that to the 5th?
Well, we're going to be doing site visits. That's a meeting.
Right,
Maybe we can take a vote at that meeting? It's a noticed meeting, so there's
Right.
no reason we can't.
right. Okay, I just, in looking at the calendar, just to kind of
Yeah.
give them a perspective, I didn't know if we wanted to make our next meeting the 5th instead of the 12th.
Well, we're gonna have the site visits can be a noticed meeting. I mean, it has
Okay.
to be if the quorum of the committee is present. If we take a vote at that meeting, we take a vote at that meeting.
Okay,
We can do that.
okay.
Okay. Any other general discussion? Public comments? Seeing no one?
Oh,
Remarks by Alderman, I'm sorry, Alderman Karen.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that, it's been an experience because this is a new project that the group is dealing with. And of course, we lost a member, so there's been 6 of us. But I think it's going very well. Thank God we have Mike from the United Way, because has a little bit more insight to the agencies, so he's able to give us information. And Jason obviously is the financial, so when you go and read these reports and financials, it gets mind-boggling, but we're really pretty even on when we're scoring, maybe 1 or 2 points off, but nothing dramatic. So I think the group has worked really well. Kerry has been joining us because we've had someone Skyping, so it took us a while because the first few nights were a little difficult. It seemed like we were dragging, but last week and today, in 2 hours, we did like almost
Nice.
6 agencies, so
Good to
that's
hear.
really good. So,
to
yeah,
hear.
so, we've hit some bumps, but I think that we've made some notes and things that we can look to improve on and make changes, and some of the recommendations that we've gotten from the agencies too. But, it's a learning curve, so I think it's worked well. I was a little overwhelmed, and as Carrie says, I like my paper. So,
That's okay. That's okay. Good for you.
so
That's
I
good
thank you,
news.
though. I thank you, and I'll keep you posted Thursday, as to where we are.
That's very good news. Thank you, Alderman
You're
Karen.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Possible non-public session, there is none. Do I have a motion? Alderman Karen.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn.